today I'm going to be talking to you about the prophetic significance of the number 50. Now 50 is the number that God stamps upon Jubilee, which means deliverance. 50 symbolizes deliverance or freedom from a burden. If you've had something that's been tearing you up and it's owned you, and then suddenly it no longer owns you, that's what the number 50 is all about. God commanded ancient Israel that every 50th year on the Day of Atonement, right, Yom Kippur, that a Jubilee was to be declared with the sound of a trumpet. Dun, da, da. You've been set free. Leviticus chapter 25. Now during the Jubilee year, all debts were settled in favor of the debtor, and inheritances were always returned back to their rightful owners. Also, those who worked as slave laborers in order to repay a debt were granted their freedom to return home back to their families and back to their own land. Now, because in the Hebrew language, all numbers are also letters, a quick look at the Hebrew alphabet shows us that the number 50 is also the 14th letter. And that's actually pronounced noon, which is like the only Hebrew I know. Now, it looks like a big fancy J with a crown on top of it, which is really cool. But noon represents both faithfulness and the reward of faithfulness. 50. So, man, you've been rewarded, right? So the J represents someone kneeling down, being humble, and basically saying, I'm nothing but dust. The Bible tells us that in James 4:10, that if you humble yourself in the sight of the Lord, that he will lift you up. That's what the number 50 or the letter noon is all about. Now in Arabic, the language of the Talmud, noon means a fish, and that's a symbol of activity or life more abundantly, right? So Jesus spends lots of time around fish and fishermen of good reason, and that brings me to the next point about God's use of the number 50. 50 signifies the coming of God Almighty's incredible Spirit, Pentecost. The number 50 is found 154 times within the Bible, and the meaning is directly related to the Spirit of God coming upon this planet. That's why Pentecost is 50 days from Passover. So in the New Testament, the word Pentecost comes from the Greek word 50th or 50th day, also known as the Feast of Weeks or the Feast of First Fruits. It was on this. So there you have it, the number 50, Jubilee, has to do with being set free, deliverance. It has to do with things being set back the way that they were originally intended to be. I love the number 50.